We are winding down the school year, heading into summer vacation. And while it might seem like that's the time for kids to be plenty free and carefree, there are some stressors that might happen in their life, just like during the school year. That is where we are going to focus on today's Hear Me, See Me podcast. Welcome in. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. Hear Me, See Me is a mental health awareness initiative based here at WIBW TV in Topeka, the capital of the great state of Kansas. And we have some great folks to join us for this conversation. Mallory Jacobs is a counselor in Topeka Public Schools, USD 501, and Nick Brummet is a counselor in the Clay Center Community Schools. And folks, you guys know your stuff because Mallory is a past Kansas School Counselor of the Year, and Nick is the reigning Kansas School Counselor of the Year. Round of applause.
Thank you.
You both have dealt with both middle and elementary school level, which is interesting, Mallory, because people don't think kids that young have these mental health concerns to think about. What's happening at that age?
Absolutely. So educators, school counselors, we get to take a break during school and during summer from school, but our mental health, it's always there. And we have to make sure that we take care of that. So built in the day, we have intentional check-ins. You have that automatic check-in with your teachers, with the staff. And when you're away from school, you don't always have that. So building in that intentional check-in is so important.
And what happens at the middle school level, Nick?
So kind of as we move into, I guess, that adolescent part of one's life, there's a lot of pressure with social media, technologies, those kinds of things impact especially middle school students. We're seeing kind of an uptick in like self-harm, suicidal ideation, anxiety, lots of different things related to those topics.
We can, the data backs it up, right? If we can take a look at what happened in Kansas, there was kind of that spike that we saw among young folks, and then we kind of went back down, and I saw from 23 to 24, there was that slight uptake in deaths by suicide in that under 18 age group. I was speaking with a professional in the healthcare setting earlier this week who said that she's very concerned over what's happened because we don't have the 2025 or first part of 2026 data in yet, but anecdotally what she's been seeing in 2025 and this first part of 2026. So there's numbers, there's stats to back this up in that under, because the numbers in Kansas show that actually the greater incidents are happening in that 25 to 54 type age group. However, those numbers have been going down. Our kids, it's going up, Mallory, and that's concerning.
It is. And you know, as we grow up, education is a house. And at the elementary level, we have to build that foundation. So ensuring that we teach them how to be a great child, but also when things aren't going your way, when things are happening, when you're feeling certain ways, what to do about that. Talk to your adults, talk to your grown-ups. And you feel like you have that at school, maybe you feel like you don't have that at home. Finding that those people, those things that you can really enjoy outside of school is very important. And that's why it's so intentional to have those connections. You know, go out and hang out with friends, meet their parents, go out and do fun activities. And I know that finances are a huge stressor right now for families, for people in general. Find those things that are free. Go outside, feel the grass on your feet, get some sunshine, go out and play at the pool. We're also both retired lifeguards. So
you like swimming.
That's right.
That's You're advocating for swimming
That's
today.
right. And it's healthy too. Get out in the sun, get your body moving. It's so important. So teaching that and really educating that when they're not feeling themselves and what to do in those situations.
Okay, something here about that whole line of thought kind of blows my mind. How long have you been a school counselor?
This is my 14th year.
14th year. How long have you been a school counselor?
This is my 10th year.
Okay, you both are very young. Because
you are so sweet, thank you.
You're so very welcome. I'm in my 50s, but we say kids these days. For you to even say that you have to recommend getting outside, I mean, I'm of a certain age where I'm like, that just blows my mind that you'd even have to think about it. But even in 14 years, and in 10 years, Nick, have you seen a shift in what kids are doing in their spare time?
Yes, and I think that, so I worked in elementary, I was a teacher and a counselor, and then I moved to the middle school. And it's just been, it's interesting because I talked to a lot of adults about that there's been such a change over my short time in education. And I think cell phone use and I think technology use, I think social media creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of comparison. We do know that technology can be a good thing for connection, but we've got to have kind of a balanced approach to it. So making sure to communicate with kids and parents, like balancing your time with face-to-face connection, but also, giving them the opportunity to use that technology, just making sure that it's not like 10 to 12 hours a day. Is really important. And Mallory kind of hit on the importance of those trusted adults. And even at the middle school level, what we know about suicide prevention is that if you have one trusted adult in your life, who you can go to for help, that's very beneficial. And so even with my kids, we definitely talk about who are your trusted adults. That can be a teacher, that could be a coach, that could be somebody in your church, that could be a parent, that could be a mentor in the community. And so having those intentional conversations, sometimes as adults we think, oh, that's just like, common sense. But we have to be very intentional with those conversations with kids and parents about identifying who those supportive people are in their life.
How do you make intentional conversations seem organic, if that makes sense? Because if you're a kid and the parents sit down, and parents probably have had this reaction with their kids, okay, I'm going to talk to you now about trusted adults. Mm-hmm. Then the kids are like, whatever, mom. Right. They're sitting back and doing that kind of thing. How do you bring that up naturally so your kids don't feel like it's a lecture that they have to listen to these specific things?
That's a wonderful question.
That is a really good question.
And I think too, just bringing that up by saying, how was your day? Who did you talk to face today? What did you do at recess? What did you do at lunch? What grown-ups did you notice today? And just really having those conversations. Parents also putting their phones down and not doing it while they're also on their screens too. Going out to eat, going out in public, we notice a lot of families are out and about together, but parents and the grown-ups are on their phones.
Oh gosh, I notice that with myself and my husband sometimes.
Right? I am guilty of it as well.
I know.
We all are.
Yeah. And you're nodding there, Nick.
Well, I was just going to say one of the best places that I feel like parents can have a conversation with their kids is in a car. So if you're driving your kid to school or you're picking them up for practice, those are great opportunities to just have conversations and kind of lean in with starting by asking the question, how was your day? One of the things you can talk about is asking kids, like, what's one positive experience you had today? What's maybe a positive experience you had with technology today? That can kind of lead you to those specific conversations that kids may have to be a little bit more vulnerable with.
And leading into it organically, those questions you talked about, Mallory, who did you talk to today? What'd you do? And then from there, do you go into, you can always talk to me about anything, but if you're feeling a little nervous, Ms. Mallory's happy to hear you too. Just kind of go ask her a question. I mean, is that kind of what you do? Like kind of nudge them if they say, well, I talked to so-and-so, or church was really fun, pastor did this, and then kind of follow that up with kind of reinforcing that that's someone they can go to.
Yeah.
And again, having that intentional connections with the grown-ups and the people at school, being involved. That doesn't mean you have to sign up for everything, PTO, PTA, but during drop-off, during dismissal, saying, hey, good morning, how are you? Because kids pick up on that as well. And a fun game that we like to play, especially in classes, is high, low, buffalo. What was your high of the day? What was the low of the day? And what was your random thing of the day? High, low, buffalo.
We got a lot of buffalo around here.
We do.
A lot of random things happen.
It kind of works out for us here in Kansas.
And one of my favorite things that I love to ask students is just like, again, going back to that simple question of what was the best part of your day. Sometimes if we start with the negative, that kind of leans into an energy where we're just really not going to be very vulnerable. But if you can start with a positive, I think that's really beneficial too.
The role of technology is so interesting. And in Kansas, it was a recommendation, first of all, that came down about a year ago from the State Board of Education for schools to take the cell phones away during the day. Lawmakers put it into state law this year. There was an additional discussion, I don't know if you guys knew this, and it did not pass, but there was an additional discussion about limiting screen times overall in the classrooms, meaning the educational experience, and making that go back to books and pens and papers as opposed to the iPads and the whatever Chromebooks or whatever that you guys assign to kids nowadays. Kids nowadays. Gosh, I'm making myself sound old. But how do you think that might help during the school year itself?
Absolutely.
Well, I feel fortunate because in our school district and in my school, I feel like we've already tried to limit that. And what's really what I love about it is seeing kids interact in person and having to use those communication skills, those social skills. So that's kind of my perspective on it. I don't necessarily know like what it's going to look like coming down from the state. So I don't know what that will necessarily look like in our school district, but.
And I think too, that is going to be a great thing. We're going to have to also teach them, hey, this is what we do. This is when you can get it out. Let's not be sneaky. Let's be honest about it. And I know that a lot of parents are worried about that. Well, if I need my kid, how am I going to get my kid? Trust. We have survived how many years before without technology?
Look at you can refer to my generation who didn't have cell phones ever.
And it's okay. It's okay. Is it going to be a change? Absolutely.
People are going to have to install a payphone and do the old thing that we've been talking about this, the old thing we used to do, right? If we use the payphone and you let it ring twice, and when they answer, then you hang up so you don't have to. And they knew it was us then, right?
I love that.
Well, and we've kind of been discussing like back when I was in school, so I graduated in 2009. It was just like cell phones were just coming out. We maybe had flip phones. That's when Facebook kind of started. And just like thinking back like, okay, well, if I did need something, how did I get a hold of my mom? Because we didn't have school emails, we didn't have school computers, and we did make it work. So I just feel like, you know, having those experiences in the past will definitely drive us to make decisions, you know, moving forward.
So we're still in the school year, and when we think about whether the kids are struggling, how does that manifest in the classroom? Mallory, since you deal with elementary students at the elementary level, what is going to happen in the school year that a parent perhaps could notice, or someone in the school could notice a child is struggling?
Sure. So I think too, just having those conversations. When you're out of my care child, who can you go to in school? Let's name off these people. If you don't know them, let's go in and meet them. People work at schools because they love kids. They love kids, and they love the also meeting other people and meeting the different staff that work in schools and at different levels. So again, just having those conversations of let's be proactive. Let's go to these nights, these family nights. Let's go to see the playground. If your child is struggling, let's go look at the school and see what's happening. Let's kind of plan ahead.
But how are you going to know your child is struggling if they're not talking and actually saying it to you? Are you going to be looking for grades, behavior? How does it manifest
Absolutely.
itself?
All of those things. And just checking in with them. Are they in their room a lot? Do they have the door shut? Are they not dressing themselves? Are they dressing a little bit different? Are they not taking care of themselves? At the elementary school, are they not sleeping as well at night? Are they eating differently? And I know at the middle school level too, that kind of goes at the same thing, you know, is what changes are going on.
What are you going to see at the middle school now?
Right.
Well, I was just going to say a lot of times you notice like a kid who is maybe withdrawing from things that they were once interested in, or maybe they're withdrawing from people they were once connected with. I think a lot of times at the middle school age, socially things are changing. So friend groups are changing, kids are starting sports. So
some of that's natural.
Yeah. But also noticing, like she said, like our eating habits changing. Sleep is super important at any age, and so paying attention to your kids' sleep patterns. Are they sleeping too little? Are they sleeping too much? Do they have cell phones before they go to bed? Like, what's their bedtime routine? Just kind of paying attention to some of those simple things that sometimes we take for granted, because small little changes usually can create even bigger things.
And since you mentioned cell phones, I do want to ask about, bullying. We hear a lot about bullying. Used to be you could go home and you'd at least be able as a child to escape it for a while.
Yes.
How big of an issue is the fact that kids can't necessarily escape it thanks to technology?
Yeah. Well, you have access to everybody 24/7. And there's a lot of different apps that kids are using. A big one is Snapchat. Used to be a huge deal where we'd be leaving kids out, or we wouldn't be including kids, or we'd have a group of friends who would be having a sleepover, and we'd intentionally send pictures or videos to the people who were not included, and you're kind of creating that anxiety. But also just like, I've come to learn this year that group chats are a thing, and so you may have 20 to 30 kids in a group chat, and they may be talking about somebody negatively. And so just kind of monitoring those things as parents, like, yes, it's great that you've given them a cell phone, but also like monitor those things. Have intentional conversations with your kids about the conversations they're having with their peers and friend groups.
So this is all during the school year. We are going to be headed into summer vacation, which brings its own set of challenges, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when the Hear Me, See Me podcast returns. Welcome back into the Hear Me, See Me podcast. We are talking about our kids and the mental health concerns that they face during the school year and as we are heading into summer vacation. Mallory Jacobs is a school counselor at the elementary level in Topeka Public Schools. Nick Brummet is a counselor, the reigning Kansas School Counselor of the Year, mind you, at the middle school level in Clay Center's community schools. And I should point out, for those who aren't familiar with those areas, Topeka Public Schools, more urban district, Clay Center, a more rural district, more small town. So I think those differences might come out here in this next section because we've talked about things to watch for during the school year. Now we're heading into summer vacation. Mallory, how worried about your kids are you as they head off? And then you're not going to see them every day. They're not going to have those check-ins with the adults at school that you talked about.
That's right. That's right. Always those first couple of days during summer is always like, all right, are they eating? Are they doing what they need to? Are they safe? Are they with people that are taking care of them? And that's where the hope really comes in and the trust. They are equipped with the things that we have taught them, and now it's time for them to go and practice those things. And it is a worry, it is a struggle that last day for some kids. Even the countdown is very exciting, but some kids really struggle with that. So worried about them always, but also holding on to that hope.
And in Topeka, we've got neighborhoods. There are kids, most of your kids are living close to others, perhaps their age. Nick, when you talk about Clay Center and you're drawing from, sure, Clay Center has a town, but then there are areas around there where there isn't a neighborhood, and some of your kids are going to be scattered during the summer.
Yes. Well, luckily, we do offer a lot of community resources during the summer. Like a huge swimming pool, which is really big. So a lot of our kids are always hanging out at the swimming pools. We do offer a lot of different sporting activities that kids can get involved in. Our churches are great. They have a lot of different activities that they do. We also have things like basic needs, like kids can go places for lunches, families can get resources for those things. So kind of going with Mallory, sometimes you just kind of have to hold on to the hope that, you've prepared kids to kind of advocate for themselves. And be able to kind of use those skills that you've reinforced with them throughout the year to get the help and get the things that they need.
For kids who are struggling, how much easier is it for them to become isolated during those summer months, despite all the technology we have now? How much easier could it be for them to be isolated?
I think it's much greater because they have school to go to every single day, and if they're not showing up, then we're trying to connect with the family to see if there's anything we can do to get them to come to school. So I feel like there may be more people monitoring or kind of aware of, what's going on with the kid, but when they're gone for 2 months, sometimes that's not happening as much.
Do you find that at the elementary level too?
Absolutely. And I think too, we talk about having grown-ups be aware of different things happening. The child might be coming to school looking different. Is there some resources that we can help with? Nick touched on that a little bit, but knowing that there's resources out there and knowing that there are things out there to help kids and families be successful, especially during these 2 months of a little bit more isolation time. And again, I know I've said it a couple times, but just really being intentional on checking in on your families as grown-ups go to work, or if their schedule's a little bit different, have fun and plan some things. Monday we're going to do this. Tuesday we're going to go to the library. Wednesday we're going to go to the pool. And if you're not able to do that, maybe have a group of other parents that could help out, or older siblings that help out, and just kind of make it a fun summer.
That's what I was going to ask. What should parents be doing now to prepare kids to have a successful summer?
You know, summer should be fun.
It
and
should
it should
be.
be
Yeah.
flexible. But like we've talked about, sometimes that brings extra stress and financial strain. All of us want to go on vacation and all of us want to go and have a good time out of Kansas, but there's also great things happening here. And it doesn't always have to cost money. Sometimes it's just a walk around the block.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's getting a group of kids and going to the pool. There are amazing resources out there and also scholarships to help with different camps, different things going on. I know a lot of businesses do special days, like Skateaway does special days. I'm just really tapping into those things as well, following different Facebook pages, paying attention to the news to see what's out there that people can help out.
And you as
with
a school counselor have that information? Parents can come to you now and say, hey, I
We
don't know what to do with my
love-
kids. We don't have a lot of money. We need X, Y, Z.
We love having resources available, yes.
What about in the rural area, Nick? Because I just think back on my background and where I grew up, and yes, I know that was a whole different time.
Yeah.
We walked uphill both ways to school and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have transportation options, there was no public transportation in rural Kansas. There aren't a lot of neighbors. So what can parents in that kind of setting be doing now?
I would say, first I want to give a shout out because we have an amazing person in our district. Her name's Lisa Last, and she actually puts together a resource packet that we send out to all of our families across the
amazing.
district.
That's wonderful, yeah.
And that's been a huge resource every single summer. But I think just parents, you know, luckily in the rural community, you have a lot of people who show up for kids. So we do have good neighbors. We have people who are mentors. We have churches. We have all kinds of people who will help kind of bridge that and provide that transportation, like you said, or kind of try to get kids connected into a specific group or a specific thing that's going on.
How do you have those, and again, how do you set the kids up? What should parents be doing now to set the kids up for success?
I think having intentional conversations with them about what they want summer to look like. I was telling Mallory, I think one of the really important things is that kids have something every day to get up for and to look forward to. I think if you can complete a small, simple task every single day, like making your bed or getting ready or making like breakfast or something like that, it just gives you a little bit more confidence in order to kind of make it through your day and to feel less isolated.
I appreciate you saying that, because when you said something planned every day, at first I was like, whoa, wait a minute, how are they going to do that? But it can be a chore.
Yeah.
You know, just something that the kids have to do that
Yes.
particular day.
Yeah.
If you notice them maybe not wanting to catch the ride with Johnny's mom to go to the pool, and it keeps happening more and more frequently, are those the sorts of red flags to look for in the summer months that maybe there's something going on here?
Yeah, I think that would be something to kind of consider, because it may seem like they're isolating away from a friend group, or maybe something has happened within that friend group that is maybe causing them to not want to join in on that, going to the pool or whatever activity that is.
So having something to do during the summer is great. What's the cautionary tale with overscheduling?
We've talked a lot too in education, in just friend groups that I have, letting kids learn how to be bored. You know, it's okay to not have something scheduled every day. As somebody that loves to go and do, sometimes I also look forward to those days where I just get to chill and relax and make my own plan. But also having something to look forward to is very important. And again, comparing summer to school schedule, it shouldn't be as intense, because as humans we do need to rest so we can be our best. But having something to look forward to, something scheduled, is also important as well. And then also learning how to find the things that you like, find the hobbies that you like. Maybe it is sports, maybe it's not, maybe it's the diamond paintings, maybe it's reading. Finding out those things about yourself is a fantastic life skill as well.
Especially at the middle school level, where, I mean, I know elementary kids are starting to have all of these activities, but then you get into middle school and it seems like it kicks up a notch, because now suddenly, you used to talk about this pressure to get into college. My gosh, why does it have to start when you're 10?
Yeah, it really does. And just the pressures of just trying to balance everything, because in a small rural community, something that you see a lot is kids are involved in everything, because they have to be, because we don't have as many people to be involved in things.
And that can be good.
Yeah,
Right.
But it also can lead
be
to this.
very. You can burn out pretty easily, and so just kind of having intentional conversations, going back to that, with your family of like what really is important. maybe what are some things that we can take off the plate or that we can stop doing. I think those are things that to kind of take into consideration as well.
What are some of those signals that you might need to do that? Because on the one hand, we talked about, well, if the kids aren't wanting to participate, that could be a red flag. What are some of the red flags that maybe we as parents or adults need to step in and say, okay, you do need to take some things off?
Well, you know your kid and you know your family better than anybody, and so just kind of paying attention to simple things, going back to like sleeping. Are they sleeping a lot? Can you tell that they're overly exhausted? Like how many days in the week? Paying attention to their schedule. What is their schedule? What does that look like? Are they getting to bed at a good, decent time? Again, going back to like eating habits, like I think when we get overly stressed and exhausted, you're just gonna notice like you're gonna seem frazzled and exhausted. You're gonna notice that things that come easy are no longer coming to you easily.
So we often talk about that kids aren't mini adults, but in this case, are they kind of mini adults, like the same things that we might expect in ourselves? Are we seeing our kids experience that now?
Absolutely. And I think too, sometimes we expect too much from our kids. And you look at them, they're like, well, they're 5 and 6. They can do that. But also they're 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So having those realistic expectations as well is very important.
Not everybody's kid's going to be the star baseball player or softball player.
Right. And know that that's okay.
Absolutely.
That's okay. If your position is to be the cheerleader on the bench, do it and rock it. It's going to be wonderful.
Do you see the same things?
Yeah, I would say so. But I also think kind of keeping in mind too, a lot of my middle schoolers, you know, they are athletic and they're very passionate about it. And it is their getaway. It is what they love. It provides them a lot of connection. So I don't want to like stray people away from doing those things, but just kind of keep in mind like there can be too much and you can get burnt out, especially when you're participating all school year long. Like, do we take a break at all? Is there ever a break in the year where you just kind of get to be a kid and just kind of be chill and relaxed?
And again, here we talk about summer months where if there is something that was causing an issue during the school year and you think summer is your break away from that group of people or that person who is perhaps causing some of those pressures in terms of bullying and self-confidence and things, here again, we've got the social media connection. It's not going to go away in the summer. So how do we handle that?
I think just again monitoring that and then having those conversations with your child of saying, hey, if something feels off, if you feel those red flags, something's off. So let us know how we can help you. If there's a situation that you feel like you can't get out of, communicate with us. Everything is figure outable, but also teaching them too how to use it appropriately and not leaving people out, not taking pictures of inappropriate things, not sending inappropriate things, because like they say, Snapchat can be deleted, but it really cannot.
Not really. Nothing ever goes away. And then in middle school too, I think, you know, maybe not the elementary kids so much, but in middle school, you certainly start having that FOMO, the fear of missing out awareness. And how much does that affect the kids in the summer months?
A lot. Because, you know, you have your kids who are maybe participating on softball teams, or maybe they're doing the summer league volleyball, but maybe your family can't participate in that. And so having conversations, one, with the kids who are on the team about, you know, just keeping that in mind and keeping that in consideration, that let's not necessarily make somebody feel bad because they can't actually participate with us.
Or go on the fancy vacation.
Correct.
Vacation for us is going to the local zoo.
Yeah.
We never went anywhere.
Yeah. And so I just feel like social media has created this just comparison where we're constantly looking at and comparing what we're doing or what we're not doing to what everybody else is doing. And so just having conversations about that.
I was going to say, is there a good way for a parent to have a conversation with their kids about that? Not to make it seem like there's something, you know, negative about another family being able to afford X, Y, or Z, and just be like, well, that's because they're whatever. But to be sensitive about it in terms of, you know, it's great they have that opportunity, but here's the reality for us in a way that kids can understand. How do they do that?
Yeah, I think just having a conversation with your kids about where your worth and value comes from, and it doesn't necessarily come from a fancy vacation or the clothes that you wear or the opportunity to be in a softball league or a volleyball league. And so kind of getting down to what your family values are and what's important to you, and kind of having conversations with your kids about that.
Well, go ahead.
And I think having that good attitude about it. You know, yes, we are going to go to the zoo and this is what we're going to see and it's going to be awesome. So having that as a grown-up and as the adult in charge, those kids feed off of that. So being the positive person, even though yes, we want to go to Hawaii, but we're going to make it this much cooler too.
Yeah.
And I think too, with the comparison piece, you know, we never know what anybody else is experiencing. So we only know our story, and so talking about that too. Well, they might be experiencing this, but we are so lucky that we get to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
having
way to
those
look at it.
conversations as well. I know that we've talked a lot about talking with your kids, but it is so important. Talk, talk, talk. Put the phone down. Having those really intentional topics come up, like Nick said, in the car, over dinner, even if you're out and about, and just tell them to read the room. Notice things that other people are doing, and then we get to do this, this, and this. So comparing, but also in a good way as well.
Now I can see the difference. Positive. So conversations, that's probably your key takeaway from all of this. Nick, if there's one thing you want people to remember when it comes to this topic, what would it be?
I think just the importance of just paying attention to the small things, because sometimes those small things can turn into bigger things. And don't hesitate to reach out to your supports, whether that be at the school or considering the people in your community who can be supportive. I think that's what's really important, is just kind of connecting with the people who can support you as a parent, but can also support your kid as well.
Well, I know you guys are all there in the schools all the time. School counselors, folks, thank them because they are good at what they do. They're good at having these conversations. Mallory, Nick, appreciate you. We talk a lot about things as adults, and it is so important to let our kids know as well. We hear you, we see you.